welcome to another episode in the Creator Series where we plan our content. Oh, it's so boring. What content or art, or really, you can use the system to plan anything that you want or need. So, it's an exciting day for me because I'm going to introduce this doll, and also I'm going to introduce these two, not personally, not like in okay, this is his personality or whatever, but I mean what they symbolize or what we're going to address with this. But before I do that, maybe this is a good time to kind of like hook into what the system is that I'm using, but more importantly, um, why it is such a great addition to the planning methods that we just have in society, or that we have developed, or that are normal to us, or that we usually think of. And so the system that I'm using is called SCRUM, and SCRUM is, you can identify it by its sprints. So sprints are periods of time anywhere between 1 week and 4 weeks, where an identifiable unit of work is being done. So something that is of use, like an end product, is created in those 4 weeks or in that week. So that's the planning system, SCRUM. Now, why do I feel that planning system is really useful? Well, if you look at the background from SCRUM, it becomes very apparent what its origin is, and that is because you have these really long projects, or like it is from the way they develop software. So software development went from the traditional way where they did it to SCRUM. And so you have these really big projects, and those are cut into more manageable pieces, preferably pieces that can be created within 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. So instead of having one project that is kind of like going on forever, and by the time it's done, the whole market has changed, and the people who were supposed to use it are no longer there. So instead of having these really mammoth, mammoth, behemoth, juggernaut, instead of having these behemoth, juggernaut, mammoth projects, they decided to to start creating little things that are of use at an earlier date, and that don't like expire the way these really big, or get out of hand the way these really big projects did. So SCRUM is a way to kind of like get yourself to acknowledge that those really big projects are undesirable and very risky, boring as well, and to see how you can create it, and or how you can create smaller units of value. So SCRUM is the method that you can use to make big projects smaller, so that you have increments of value delivered every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, whatever it is. So you could say SCRUM makes big projects smaller. But the way I find SCRUM so useful is because we can also use it to make smaller projects bigger or more structured. So I'm using this for content creation, but you can use it for anything. Content content creation very often has this kind of like flying by the seat of your pants kind of vibe to it, where you're like, oh, I'm going to create this and then I'm going to post it. And then it becomes this really high adrenaline thing. So the way I use Scrum is by saying, okay, we have these really high velocity things where, you know, you just keep pumping out content. Let's use Scrum to make a weekly plan or a plan for 2 weeks or even a plan for a month. What do we want to create? Or what do we want to post? So it is thinking beforehand how you can make use of that week of production time. So you're not going to enter that week just, you know, creating whatever you want. And I do have, you know, kind of like an extra pointer with that one, because it's not that creating what you want is bad, and you can actually put that into this system. But so I will get to that in a minute. But it's kind of like the way when I really started valuing Scrum was not because I didn't have those really big projects, or I still have them, but those were not my biggest problems. It's like I really start appreciating it when I saw, oh, but this is how we can kind of like add some weight to those very volatile way where we create content without really thinking it through beforehand. So I already said it, you can still use Scrum if you want to create whatever you want, because you have a choice how to use it. You can say, okay, I have a week of production time, and in that week, I want to have 5 pockets of time that are completely dedicated to me creating whatever I want. There you go. You know, it's not that you have to decide on what you want to create. It is that you become conscious that you have a choice in how you want to create and what you want to create. So I would say Scrum makes big projects smaller, but you can also use it the way I use it, and the way this house is an illustration of, to make small projects, kind of the flying by the seat of your pants kind of way of creating content, to make that heavier, to make that more substantial, to make that planned, bring more consciousness to it. Okay. So I use this as one sprint. So the house represents 1 week of content creation. It's a creation planning. It's not, or a production planning. It's not a posting schedule. It's not a content planning in the sense of posting. Everything that is created and posted is here on the balcony. But this is where we content creators plan what we create. And when you post it's up to you, or it's not really the heart of this system. Okay. So on the ground floor, not counting the 3 dolls that I put here, on the ground floor are all the trolls that represent all the infinite possibilities that you could be creating in your sprint. On the first floor is everything that you choose to create. So you from all the infinite possibilities, on the ground floor, you're like, okay, this week I want to create these projects. So represented by the dolls, you put them on the first floor, and at the beginning of your sprint, you kind of like just put them there, or like make a little list in your make a list in your notebook, whatever way you use to represent that. Then on this floor, we have everything that is in doing. So for example, this troll is the creator series, and I'm filming this now, so it's in doing. And here in the attic is all the elements or all the pieces of content that you have created, but you have not posted it yet. So you can see I don't have anything here, unfortunately. I don't have anything here now. And this is everything that you already created and posted, and that's on the balcony. Okay, so yeah, so the sprint is a production planning, or I'm using it for a production planning. And I want to introduce these dolls. This one you're going to see every time, and I've called him the FROCC Monster. So that's FROCC. And FROCC are the values of SCRUM. And I don't know if there are any other people who have kind of come up with an abbreviation so that it's easier to remember the 5 values from SCRUM. But if they did, I'm sure they would come up with FROCC, because that's obviously the easiest word to create. You know, it reminds you of a frog. So yeah, so FROCC with double C, the FROCC Monster. So this is the FROCC Monster. This is what I have introduced for myself to have to really start working with those values. And the way I see it is that the FROCC Monster, just like the system of SCRUM, is really universal. You can apply the FROCC Monster to any situation that you are in, or any relationship that you want to create, or like, I don't know, a job that you want to apply to, anything. Because the FROCC stands for F is focus, R is respect, O is openness, the first C is for courage, and the second C is for commitment. So these are really universal values. And I think that by having a FROCC Monster, you are reminded that the FROCC Monster eats those 5 values. If you feed them the opposite, if you feed them secrecy and disrespect and cowardice, and it's also a C, not just courage but cowardice, cowardice, and you don't feed them focus, but instead, when you are creating your content, you're constantly distracted, I don't know, by social media or something, then the FROCC Monster is no longer healthy. So I compare it to the Tamagotchi, which was an electronic pet in the 90s. And this electronic pet, you had to feed him or them, and you had to play games with them, and you had to put them to bed. And if you did that very consistently, then you would get like a very special transformation in the Tamagotchi. And if you did it really poorly, then you got a kind of like a monster out of it, and it cheated in games and everything. So, and I think the FROCC Monster to me is the same thing. It's kind of like the FROCC Monster represents the values of SCRUM, but it also represents, you know, my values. And it's kind of like I want to work in a way so that the FROCC Monster is fed in a positive way. I want to have a positive Tamagotchi. I want to have a positive FROCC Monster and not a negative one. And so the values of SCRUM are very important, but they're not included in the system of SCRUM. The values have been introduced in 2016, whereas the system of SCRUM is a lot older. So the basic framework of SCRUM does not include elements that help you apply the values. So that's why I have this FROCC Monster, so that we have a visual of, okay, would the FROCC Monster like to eat this? Is it one of the 5 things on his list or not? So the FROCC Monster will be there, you know, as we move forward with this series. This pink doll was the Scrum Master, and she's in charge of the sprint review that you can do after every sprint, where you look back at, okay, how did everything go? which is technically a retrospective, I know that, but this is not for teams, this is for individual people. So we can just, individual creators, so we can just say review. And the Scrum Master is your doll where you're kind of like, okay, look back at how it went. And then I want to have these two, and these are a little bit sad dolls. Because this is what I call technical debt. And I know maybe this is too much for you in one sitting. I completely understand. But I've been wrestling with my technical debt for weeks now. And I've not told you every time. So every time I was like, oh no, this is not, I can't include the technical debt because I already have other things to share. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to call out, I'm someone who has technical debt. And like, this is the day. It will be incomplete. And but yeah, just let's go. I will share what I have now. So technical debt, if you work with a team and you're an IT developer, and then technical debt would be you deliver something at the end of the sprint, but beneath the surface there's stuff going on that shouldn't be there. So then the next time that the team picks up the work, or that people start using the work that you created, they find out, hey, things are not working. Or in particular, when you have to do maintenance, or you have to combine it with other parts, then suddenly it no longer works anymore. So usually technical debt is it is tied to the project that you have delivered, or in this case, the pieces of content that you have delivered. So usually it's very specific for the products. But I have a different definition of technical debt. I use a wider definition, as in everything that should be addressed in order to be able to work in the future. So that is the technical debt that is inherent, or that is tied to the project. So yes, if you're a programmer and you have delivered software, it should be up to standards at deeper levels as well. You should not have technical debt that is tied in to a project or a software product or something that is done. But also, if you neglect things that you need in order to be able to create products in the future, and you neglect those, then I also call that technical debt. So it sounds very complicated, but I think that it's, once I give the example, it's really not. So my technical debt is my finance and my housekeeping. So that means that over the course of the past few months, I have delivered all my trolls, I have created all my content, but I have used time, or I have not done my finance, I have not done my housekeeping. So ultimately, there comes a point where I cannot create my trolls anymore, I cannot create my content anymore, because I have so much work piling up in my housekeeping or in my finance that I can't, I have to do that first. And so I also call that technical debt, because it's the same thing. It's you think that you're done, you think you have created something, but either at a deeper level, something is not right, and that will bite you in the ass in 6 months or whatever, or you have neglected the things that you need in order to be able to work, in order to be able to keep creating content. And that is how technical debt, um, um, yeah, comes into existence. And so I have tried to not include technical debt, not just in these videos, but also in my own planning. I was like, okay, I will do that in the, nighttime hours or weekends or whatever. But it just didn't happen. So it only got more and got worse. More that sounds like it was something good, but it was not something good. So the way to go about that, if you either you have neglected certain tasks, like I did, so then you can make a technical debt troll. I have a technical debt troll for my finance, and I have a technical debt troll for my housekeeping. And so you can do that. And what also might be a good idea, I don't have that here because I'm like, okay, I find that overwhelming, but I'm going to give you the full story. These are not the only two technical debt trolls I need. It are the only technical debt trolls I need, but this is not the full solution, because why do you have that technical debt? Whether it's something that's tied to your product, where at a deeper level you have not created it in a good way, whether that is your technical debt, or whether it is your housekeeping and your finance, like mine. Why did this happen? Why did this exist? Why does this exist? And so in my case, clearly I lack a system to do my housekeeping. I lack a system to do my finance. So those two could be little trolls. So what I'm really saying here in this episode, that is way too much to understand all in one sitting, I think, for which I apologize. I'll make it up to you in the future. There's going to be a lot of repetition in this series. So these technical debt trolls and the FROCC troll, it will all it will all come back. It will all come back. So I said the technical debt. So this is I have to do my housekeeping. This is I have to do my finance. But you could also make two trolls. One is I need a system for my finance. I need it planned, like, scheduled, just like I have a production schedule. I need to plan when I do my finance. And I need to plan when I do my housekeeping. So that in order to prevent this technical debt from happening in the future, I have to develop a system, like a mini system, a subsystem, so that it gets done in the future, so that it already automatically gets done, so that it doesn't pile up, so that I don't have the same technical debt like 2 months from now or 3 months from now. So what I have done today is to show you that even though this is a production planning, you can also include things that are not directly your production, or that are not the items or the increments of value that you normally produce. So in the past couple of months, we've only worked with this is content, but we're now at the point where we're like, yeah, but in order to create the content, other things also must get done. And if they don't get done, like in my case, then it piles up so high that it starts endangering the hours that you have available to make that content or to make that production. So these trolls are not content, but we are going to put them into the sprint. So they were standing here in front of the house. I don't know. Yeah. So we're going to put them here. So these are now, they're not pieces of content, but they are results of our production schedule. They are increments, as they're called in Scrum. And these, I think I should put them in the house as well. The system for my housekeeping and a system for my finance. And I don't have the little notes yet, but I'm going to put them on the first floor as well. So every time you encounter something that you know needs to be done, put it on the first floor. Put it on, this is called the floor of ready, or the room of ready, where everything that is ready to be taken into production this sprint is on this floor. So you're not just limited to your content. You can definitely also start creating little parts of your systems like these two, or yeah, just other aspects of the work. You can put them into your production schedule. You don't only have to, it's not only your content that you can plan with this. You should definitely also include the things that you have to do on the side in order to be able to keep that consistent flow of content going. And optional also your personal things, like in my case, the housekeeping. So yeah, so that was it for today. This episode will go up on a Monday, and when you see it, then there will not be then the next episode after will be 4 weeks after. So I have a holiday, and it's a series that I create every 2 weeks. So, and I have a 2-week holiday. So when you see this, what I'm trying to say, very wordy, but what I'm trying to say is this series will be back. The new episode in the Creator series will be up 4 weeks. So I'll see you in 4 weeks. Okay, bye.